We begin with the first plenary session for the day on purpose-driven employee engagement and retention in healthcare. The chairperson for the session is Dr. Parivalavan R. Dr. Parivalavan R is a consultant surgeon and specialist in laparoscopic surgery at Sundara Medical Foundation, Chennai. He has set up the first emergency department in private sector in India at SMF and nurtured it to become one of the best known academic EM centers in South India. He has done pioneering research with IIT Madras in diabetic food and has invented an equipment called Pedo Power Graph to measure food pressure. He mentors and teaches clinicians and quality professionals on healthcare quality and patient safety. He is the founder of Skills for Med Chennai, an organization that shares best practices with healthcare professionals to equip them with expertise to provide safe patient care. It is time to invite Dr. Parivalavan R to chair the session.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the kind introduction. I stand here on behalf of CAHO, and as Mr. Rama Rajshekhar pointed out, some of you may be wondering what CAHO is all about, and you will learn little bit what it is all about. And foraying into health or human resources is a new initiative from CAHO. And in fact, Mr. Rama was telling me, many people were asking, why HR in hospitals? So that was a question which many of us still keep asking. So human resources in health is a big topic. WHO has even taken cognizant of that. And actually, if you look at in India, there are three things which are really worrying. One is the insufficiency of workforce, doctors, nurses, good managers, you name it. We don't have enough of them in this country. And the second is the disparity between the private sector and the public sector, the disparity between the insured and non-insured, and the disparity between north and south. In fact, 60 or 70% of medical and nursing colleges are concentrated in the south in 4 states. The rest of India has very little capacity to build human resources for healthcare. So that is the big issue of disparity. The third issue is the brain drain. Most of the good doctors and nurses we have are constantly moving out to the other countries because there's a huge deficiency of human resources in healthcare in all over the world. And we are supplying a lot of good workforce to the world. And that becomes a disadvantage to us. So this shows how important it is to talk about human resources in healthcare. And I'm very happy that Ganga Hospital in association with CAHO has started this initiative. And to start off the proceedings, I have a very motivational speaker, Mr. Sivakumar Palaniappan. I have seen his LinkedIn profile and I can tell you that he is full of energy. So you people should be geared up by the end of the session. And it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Mr. Sivakumar Palaniappan. He is a leading educator, motivator, and consultant on mindset strategies, leadership mindsets, and people transformation. He calls his organization Thinkfluence, which is, I think, is an amazing combination of thinking and influence. It's a very smart way to name, and it's all about the mind. There is a one sentence thing in Sanskrit. It says, Yada Drishti Tada Srishti, which means whatever you have in your vision, that is what you manifest in the world. So he is a person who trains people to get that vision so that you can manifest your training and leadership skills. He has close to 20 years of industry experience in leading multinational companies like Philips Semiconductors, Qualcomm, Robert Bosch, before starting his own consulting firm Thinkfluence Global. He is a very passionate speaker. He conducts transformational workshops on topics like mindset strategies, leadership development, strategic thinking, and change management. He is very interested in working with young professionals and managers and motivates them and mentors them to become business thinkers and global leaders. He is on a passionate mission to help organizations to build inspiring leaders from today and tomorrow. So I'm very glad in inviting him to inspire us, the healthcare industry, to do the same. Over to you, Mr. Sivakumar Palaniappan.
Thank you, Dr. Pari. Wonderful introduction. Good morning. Hello. It's a rainy morning and little dull. Right? If you want to sleep or doze off. So I'm going to take 30 minutes to share some of my thoughts on purpose-driven employee engagement in specific to healthcare industry. So I'll set the context for the day to all of you. I am an engineer who used to work for large technology companies like Philips Semiconductors, Qualcomm into hardcore technology. Out of passion for human psychology and human behavior, I picked up HR, training, psychology and moved into Bosch as a learning and development manager, HR manager, worked there for close to 5 years and then started my own training consulting firm. I've been largely working with tech companies, industries, manufacturing, IT. And to me, the medical fraternity is not very much experienced until last November. Last November, someone saw my profile in LinkedIn and called me and said, "Hey, can you do an online program for our senior doctors and hospital administrators?" We calling from this big hospital called Apollo Hospitals from Chennai. We have hospitals across the country in multiple cities. We'll get some 200 people on board and then we'll do 3 sessions over a period of 3 weeks. That is when I got into this amazing domain of healthcare. I understood how HR is very, very important in this industry as well. Traditionally, if you see, HR is a much evolved function in our IT and technology companies. From being a time office to a personal management department to an IR department today, HR plays a very important strategic role in organizations. If you look at history, most of the technology companies, modern companies will have CMOs, CFOs becoming CEOs in their organizational hierarchy. But today we see in many companies, CHROs, HR leaders becoming the functional heads, becoming the CEOs, becoming the operational leaders. That's the level of growth and recognition the industry has given to HR professionals. So which means HR plays a very important role in every sector that's evolved largely outside. But here in healthcare, I see a lot of possibility, huge opportunity for us to focus and build it up because ultimately here we work with people, isn't it? We work with human beings all the time. I heard from doctors traditionally this sector was completely focusing on patient care, of late technology, robotics, and multiple ways of delivering healthcare and medicine, and that's what we are primarily focusing. But now we realize that HR plays a very, very important role. That's why Kaho is doing an amazing conference on this topic as such. When I was studying this whole industry and from perspective of engagement, what I found, as doctor said, the biggest challenge I heard from many of my doctor friends is the churning out of people, especially on the sector of nurses and doctors. There is huge opportunity outside. There is a huge scope for people to go abroad to multiple countries, explore career. How do we ensure that they stay back with us, engage with us, work with us? A Gallup is a very large organization that does amazing study on people practices. Gallup has done an extensive research on HR practices in healthcare sector, and one of the outcome result, what they say is, just by increasing 1% of nurses' engagement, they say the hospital increases 3% to 6% in terms of patient healthcare, patient recovery, and also growth in terms of patient volume. Which means every single stakeholder in the hospital, right, plays a very important role in building the hospital ecosystem. Largely, after last 2 years of pandemic, with all stress, with all drain out, with all burnout, I believe healthcare professionals need the most care right now. And that's why it is important for all of you administrators, leaders to think a little more about how do we build engaged workforce in the organization. When I say engaged workforce, what is engaged workforce? Today we talk about a very common term called quiet quitting. Have you heard about this? The two terms very popular across IT industry, one is called moonlighting, other one is called quiet quitting. Moonlighting is where you work elsewhere in the morning, 9 to 5, and then you work in some other company in the evening or late night. You have multiple opportunities, multiple offers. You are on a multiple company on roll officially at the same time getting 2 or 3 salaries. And today, there is a huge difference of opinion here actually. The companies like Wipro and Infosys says it is unethical, it is unfair, I am paying you salary, you are on my rules, you have signed a contract with me, employment contract with me, promising that you will give your attention, mind space, thought space, effort to work on my projects and my clients, and taking some other assignment is unfair. There are companies who come and say it's okay. If you are an employee, doesn't mean that you have given your entire life to us without conflicting our customers, clients, the kind of work we do. It is okay if you do something else with our permission. That's one huge discussion going on in the industry on this topic called moonlighting. The second important topic is quiet quitting. Why do people quit their job? Means not literally quit their job, but they're quietly quitting their role, which means they come to the office, they punch in on time, they stay for 8-9 hours during their shift hours, they do their work, but they do the bare minimum just to stay afloat in the organization. They are not passionately delivering their deliverables. They are not involving themselves in the work they do with their complete full heart and mind and soul. They are there just for doing things. The tick mark job is done. I am here, this is my role, this is my responsibilities. I will do the bare minimum to ensure that I am not fired, I am not removed from the role. I just come and do it. And that is a huge danger actually. If somebody is leaving unhappily, okay, you get somebody else to do the job. If somebody is not willing to leave, staying back but not engaged, not passionately involved in the work they do, it creates a lot of challenges, a lot of problems in the existing workforce and also with the customers and clients. For us especially, patients who you meet on daily basis. And for us in the industry, technology industry, the feedback comes after a week or a month. You release a product, they download the application, they use the product, comes back. For us in healthcare, every second, every minute, there's a feedback coming back to you from patients, their caretakers, the stakeholders. That is where the whole challenge of building an engaging workforce plays a very important role. How can we really build this engaging workforce? When I ask industry, when I ask HR leaders, they come back and say, you know what? Every Friday we do a small fun activity for our employees. Boss, that is not engagement activity. That is small fun activity. No, we involve them in CSR, we make them run marathons, we make them do social work, we take them to a school, we make them do voluntary service, we make them get into multiple like-minded groups, bicycling club, health club, hiking club, travel club. We have multiple clubs inside the company. We also engage people other than their regular work. We motivate them, we make them, of course, yes. All of this really works very well as long as they're happy in the work itself. And all these additional activities largely creates fun, creates bonding, creates connect with the employees, but will it really lead to a larger productivity, larger engaged workforce? And that is a big question. That is where we know, right, the research, tons of research being done on this one word called purpose, passion in the whole human development and evolution. And it is proven that purpose is the most powerful intrinsic driver, intrinsic motivator that will push people to go and perform. The famous speaker Simon Sinek says on his book, Why? Why is very important. Why am I doing what am I doing? What is the fundamental reason, purpose? Am I largely having the passion inside me to work with people, help them recover, come back? Or is it kind of a job I do just for sake of doing, for to earn? Of course, we all work for money. We earn. But beyond and above that, what is that drives me, that makes me jump out of my bed on Monday morning and say, hey, I'm going to go to my hospital this morning. I'm going to look at patients, I'm going to look at my clients, customers with a lot of empathy, a lot of concern, a lot of care, and really take care of them very well and involve and give my best to my organization, my department, my function. If you can jump out of the bed on Monday morning and come to office, come to hospital, then you are largely having a better engagement, larger purpose. But if you are a person who eagerly wait for a Friday evening or a Saturday evening and say, oh my God, 1 week is done, I have one more day to relax and refresh. It is important to regenerate, important to relax, but are we looking forward for a weekend and long holidays, or am I eagerly waiting for come back to the work and participate, to give back, and that defines the driving force. How do HR leaders, how do hospital administrators inculcate and inspire professionals, doctors, nurses, supporting staff, and all the professionals across to actively involve and engage in the work they do is a very pertinent question everybody has to ask at this juncture. Right? So I'm going to share 4 important pointers with which HR professionals, hospitals, healthcare industry can really engage your workforce with little more involvement and higher passion. Number one is, how do you inculcate the meaning in what everyone does? Ultimately, the meaning and the purpose is what drives people, and that gives intrinsic motivation, as I said. But what is the meaning of what I do? We give job descriptions, we give roles and responsibilities, we give do's and don'ts, but how often we tell them what is the impact of what you are doing? I'll give an example from my industry. I used to work for Bosch as a HR manager, as a learning and development head, and one of the amazing lessons I learned from one of my German colleagues is this. This very senior leader who was heading the safety systems for Bosch came down to Coimbatore from Germany, and he was on a visit to see his team members, to see the Coimbatore office, to interact with us, connect with us, build relationship with us. And he was addressing a group of engineers like this in a hall, and all of them were working on safety systems. They were designing airbags, ABS, they were designing automatic cruise control systems, safety systems in the car. They were all safety engineers who do a lot of work on coding, designing, testing, implementing safety in the car. And one very powerful word that he said maybe 8-9 years ago still stuck to my mind, and I want to share that. You know what he said? You guys, with due respect to all amazing, wonderful doctors, I'm repeating what he said. He said, you guys here in this room are much more and above and beyond doctors in this world. What are you saying? He said, doctors come into the picture when somebody meets with an accident. They take them to hospital, they're in the ICU, they take care of them. But you know what? You guys who are safety engineers, who ensure that airbag is inflated within few microseconds before the accident, you are helping or saving people from the accident itself. Which means your role is much more important to society. You are not writing one piece of code in a corner. You are not designing one small circuit. You are not testing one single car in the field in the remote Coimbatore forest, but you are saving somebody's life somewhere in this world. Which means you are not engineers, you are all life savers. When he made that statement, believe me, the whole audience got really flared up and they realized, I am not just an engineer writing code. I am not just a developer who is building systems. I am saving people's life even before the accident happens. I have sensors, I have actuators, I have systems that really helps in microseconds to help people escape from major accidents and going through all trauma and challenges. When that thought was seeded in the minds of our engineers, we could literally measure with metrics the tremendous involvement and improvement in the engagement, in the performance and productivity of our team the next couple of months actually. Which means one single person's creative thought of helping people identify and discover, oh my God, I'm not just an engineer, I'm a lifesaver. I'm doing something noble, I'm doing something phenomenal. And that one single thought made people really give all their passion, all their heart and soul into what they do. Which means in hospital, not just doctors, of course doctors play a very important role, very important key role in hospital, but every single stakeholder, starting from the security guard outside to the nurse and assistant nurse, and everybody plays a very important role in helping patients recover from their illness, from their challenges, from their difficulties. And as HR professionals, as administrators, ask yourself, how do I sit with my team members, stakeholders in the hospital and inculcate that larger purpose, that larger why in what they do, and that will be a very powerful intrinsic driver for our team members to perform and give their complete heart and soul, number one. Number two is, not just having this, of course it's important to have activities outside the workplace, right? So CSR initiative, marathon initiative, Friday evening fun, lot of things are good to have fun. But what is second important point is, how do you ensure that your employees are heard? In many organizations, when the employees are not heard, if there is no proper feedback mechanism to get back from your lowest level employees on what they think, what they feel, how do they feel about their work, about the challenges they have, if there is no clear feedback mechanism to bring back the ideas and thought process to the management level, that is a big concern in many organizations. Again, Gallup and Gartner did a very detailed study, and they found that 30 to 40% of employees who leave organizations are leaving because there is no one to listen to them. It is not that I am not paid. It is not that I am not getting my increment promotion. It is not that I am learning, growing. But the challenge is, nobody is listening to me. I have concerns, I have challenges, I have difficulties. I want to voice out. I have ideas that can improve the process on the floor. I have a lot of things going on in my mind, and the only instruction given to me is do what is told. Look at the manual, look at the SOP, look at the guidelines, do what is told and just do your job. That's why you're here. And nobody is here to sit with me to understand my thought process, listen to what is going on in my workplace, listen to what is going on in my work area, listen to my thoughts, ideas, and that is the biggest concern for why people leave organizations. I'm sure that is very well true in our healthcare sector as well. Create systems, create processes in place where you will have feedback mechanisms coming into you. Having anonymous feedback system, 360-degree feedback system, having open forums to listen to people with open heart and mind and just say whatever you want to say. Regular one-on-one discussions with their managers, with the supervisors will really help in building the engagement. One of the creative thoughts that works in a lot of companies is, when I train leaders and managers, I tell them, we do our formal one-to-one meetings, regular one-on-ones every month, every 2 months. It all happens in system where you sit and discuss about progress, talk about what has gone well, what you have not done, what can be done better, point mistakes, appreciate good things. Above and beyond that, I ask leaders, do you really do a highly informal, casual, personal one-to-one discussion over a coffee, over a small snack or a dinner or a lunch, just to get to know the person at a very personal level? How many of you leaders here in the hall know your second level, third level team at a personal level? About their family, about their children, about what challenges they go through. We are not going to help them in every single way, but listening to them, connecting with them, understanding them at a holistic perspective, really build engagement, my dear friends. So I always recommend this, right? If you are a leader, do at least once in a month, do a coffee meet. Do a casual chat, casual talk to your first level reporting, second level reporting employees. Don't talk business, don't talk about outcomes and targets and process. Just talk about how is life, how is everything, what kind of books are you reading, what you do as a hobby, how is your mom, dad feeling, how is the children's school education coming up, how do you take care of your health and fitness? Very general, what kind of movies you watch. Maybe it need not be a long discussion. A 20-minute talk or a 30-minute talk, a very brief, a casual, personal one-to-one creates a huge difference in them connecting with you as an individual and as an organization. And we have all seen many surveys saying people largely do not leave organizations, they leave managers. Managers play a very important role in retaining employees who is not happy, who is considering multiple options, which means as healthcare leaders, as administrators, we play a very important role in building, engaging, building passionate workforce. And one of the ways is to listening to them, creating feedback mechanisms, having casual one-to-one discussions, understanding them at a much deeper level beyond regular work communication, transactional discussions. And third very important point is being empathetic about what is happening in the workplace. We talk about empathy a lot to our nurses, to our caregivers, right? Listen to your patients, listen to your patient caretakers, look at them from your perspective, put them in your shoes. So how often we look at them with a lot of empathy? understand what do they go through. And in the corporate world, what I see is largely organizations who consciously build empathetic, authentic leadership really retains people for a longer duration. If you want to retain people, be empathetic about them, understand what kind of challenges they go through, look from that perspective. At times, we administrators sit in a corner office, we run the office, we look at data sheets, we look at metrics, and we look at who's absent, who's present. Of course, that gives us perspective. That gives us data. But people's emotions and feelings are beyond those metrics, beyond those Excel sheets that we see on our tables and sheets. So when you look at strategy, when you look at growth, when you look at handling people, see beyond those large metrics that we measure. With all big data today, we talk about data everywhere, right? That's a big trend today. How do you use your data, available data? How do you manipulate it? How do you extrapolate it? How do you understand it to take decisions for the future? That becomes a big trend. Of course, it is very important, right? With a lot of people coming in, a lot of data collected at every different point, analyzing, using data metrics to decide is very critical. It is important. But also, along with that, above and beyond that, understanding people from a human perspective, heart to heart perspective, is what will help you people connect with you, engage with you much more for longer and better reasons. So understand them much better. Fourth important point, which I really want to emphasize, is opportunities for them to learn and grow. Studies after studies very clearly say employees who have opportunities to learn and grow, who've been heard by management, stay with the company for longer duration. I've seen a lot of companies in the lockdown period where I work with, I consult, I advise with. I've seen companies where employees quit as a whole when they stop paying salary for 1 month or 2 months in the lockdown period. Company is going through a lot of challenges, a lot of revenue challenges, problems, complete lockdown, everything is closed. We can't pay you salary. So I'm sorry, maybe we'll reduce salary 50%, 30%. In 1 week, one shot, everybody says, I'm sorry, I have my family to take care. I can't stay back. I'll leave. People quit. Companies are closed. But I also have seen companies where the employee says, I've been in this company for quite some time. I know my boss who will take care of me very well. And he or she is going through tough time because of pandemic, because of COVID, because of lockdown. And it is okay to bring down my salary to some percentage. I will try to manage with the bare minimum what I have. I'll buy loans here and there. I'll somehow manage because I hope and believe that things will come back and I will stay with them for a little longer time. I've seen companies, I've seen employees who stay with the organization in spite of challenges, in spite of not being paid on time, in spite of reduction in salary to large extent. They stayed because the company took care of them very well all this while. My boss, I trust the organization. I trust the company. I believe in them that they will not let us just like that. Because everybody is going through challenges. The world is going through challenges. Every company is going through problems. My company is also going through. My boss is also going through. Hopefully it will come back and they'll take care of us. I've seen companies when they came back from COVID, when revenues came back, profits came back, companies did double compensation for the loss of salary also in the lockdown period. So that is what makes employees stay back in the organization, right? I worked with an IT company in Coimbatore. These guys ran this company at the basement of a very large building in Race Course. Literally in the basement. You go to the escalator, go to the -1 floor, you go down, it is completely locked up, no air, no ventilation. When there is a power failure, it is suffocating. It's a very closed, cramped up room. I see 70 engineers building code for some mobile application. And I asked them, they are all staying back for all this lockdown, 6-7 months actually. And recently they moved to a much better office, to a larger office. When I went them, I asked them, what made you guys stay back in such a very difficult workplace? They had 1 or 2 restrooms for men and women, lot of challenges they faced. I interviewed them, everyone personally. One thing that came out very well is, what? When I look at my friends in large companies, tech companies in Hyderabad, Bangalore, in a lot of fancy workplaces, I see their selfies and pictures in Instagram, social media. I also think about maybe I should quit and go to that company. That is enticing. It's very nice workplace, nice cubicle, nice backdrop, carpet floor. Everything is good. But then, what happens in this organization? My management team is so kind to me. They listen to me. They always take my ideas, my thoughts. They involve me in all the projects that we do, and that is what they may keep me in a very kind and comfort zone. Not just in terms of communication, but also in terms of treating me very well. And there is a challenge to learn. They give enough training, learning opportunities, and these three reasons really made me stay back. So, which means, in spite of difficult working conditions, in spite of challenges they have in the workplace, people stick to an organization, which means they have larger than money, larger than physical comfort, that becomes a priority for them to work. Of course, money is essential important. You can't take it for completely granted. But above and beyond that, research has shown very recently, in the long run, it all depends on how engaged are they in the workplace. People talk about happiness in workplace now. Happiness in workplace now. Create happy work environment, make people laugh and smile. So I have the strong belief that creating initiatives to bring happiness in the workplace is essential. But I believe if you create an engaging workforce, if you create scope for them to really involve with a lot of passion, building engagement in what they do on daily basis from morning to evening will bring more happiness, will bring more retention, will bring more involvement of employees. Along with that, of course, you do fun Fridays, weekend activities and things like that. As world is demanding Indians, not only engineers, doctors, nurses, across the globe, right? Study after study says, if you look at the demographics, they say India is the youngest country in the world. If you go to Japan, the average age is 50 plus, 55 almost. Almost all the European countries are 45 plus. China is 35 to 40. US is also 30 plus, but they have influx of young people from across the globe. Which means largely our country, India is the youngest country in the world, which means obviously there will be lot of possibilities, lot of opportunities for young people to find jobs elsewhere in the world because they need us. We are the human resource supplier for the entire world. Like China supplies materials, products to the world, we supply people at every level, from teachers to, look at Middle Eastern countries. We have at all levels, right? From worker to employee to CEO, almost all the technology companies in US across the globe are filled with Indian origin CEOs, right? Which means Indians play a very important role in the global world as well. So which means you cannot really stop anyone from leaving your organization. World is open. You can't demand someone to have to stay here with me for 1 year contract, 2 year contract. World has moved all the way. So what can happen or what should happen is we administrators, we HR leaders proactively take the ownership of driving engagement in the organization. When I ask a couple of my hospital doctor friends, what kind of engagement metrics you have in your hospital? How do you measure engagement in the hospital? Do you run employee surveys? Do you run engagement surveys? Do you ask patients to share their experience? One of the best possible way to measure engagement in our sector is patient experience. How often we ask our patients to share their experience, inpatients, outpatients. How do you feel? How do you experience the whole day? Was it pleasant? Was it good? Moment you enter the hospital till you go out, were you taken care very well by everybody in the hospital, from the security office to the reception to the assistant to the doctor to the nursing to everywhere? How is it? How often we take patient feedback? Ask yourself. I've been to a lot of hospitals, to be very frank, and with my family, with my friends, when we come out, I hardly see anybody asking for a feedback. Am I true on this? Yes or no? You go to a hotel, you stay in a hotel for 1 day, 2 days. These guys really give a long feedback form. Remember, you go to a restaurant for having a food, they give a feedback form. You said, come on, yaar, how often I'll fill this? You end up tired filling the feedback forms, right? How often in hospitals we give them feedback forms to our patients to tell them what is that you think is good here? What is that you think can be improved here? So consciously, consistently getting feedback from our patients also, getting thoughts back from them will help us increase their engagement levels. So I really want to close by saying this very important point. Engagement is very important in our sector, but engagement starts with measuring the engagement. Anything that is not measured consciously cannot be improved, isn't it? So how are you measuring engagement as of now? When you go back to your hospitals, ask yourself, can I run a survey? Can I run a questionnaire? Can I do a open feedback session? Bring people, important people in the conference room, ask them, hey, how do you feel about working in this hospital? Do you want to change? What is good? How are you engaged in what you are doing? Do you know your larger purpose here? Do you know your why very clearly? Ask those feedbacks, ask those comments, and you start measuring your what is my current level of engagement, how engaged are my team members, and then sit back and make a strategy and say, if this is what I'm seeing in the hospital in these areas, and try to find out what are the key areas that you have to work on. Sit with your team, the management team, your HR team, administrative team, and try to design systems and programs which you can consciously run to increase these engagement levels. Again, I say not just this out of the workplace fun activities. Very important point is, how do I increase engagement on the work, during, on the floor, right? I heard the word bedside from doctors and nurses. How do I increase engagement on the bedside? When a nurse walks into our patient's room, how do I really make them even more involved, even more engaged, with a lot of passion and purpose on what they do? At every level, right? Ask yourself, how do I bring that? And then you see, maybe I'll give a time of 6 months or 8 months to run these programs consciously and go back and do another survey and measure where was I 6 months ago, where am I now 6 months ago. And consciously doing this consistently every quarter or every 6 months is what will help you increase and grow your engagement levels in the organization, my dear friends. To summarize the whole 4 or 5 important points, I want to kind of anchor on this one important word called purpose and why. The more you help your team members, your stakeholders discover their larger purpose, discover why they are doing what they are doing, the chances of they being an engaged, involved, passionate professionals is much more higher. Thank you so much and wish you a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sivakumar. That was a very informative and inspiring talk to kick off in the morning. If I can just summarize, what you just told us, I think you said in the beginning you will say 4 points and ended up saying 5. So you had a bonus point as well. So first you started off with why, the purpose. I think that was the core message. Making the employees know why they are actually in this situation. Very important. And then you spoke about how they can be heard. And third, you spoke about talking about empathy and how they can empathize, with the others, and also how, as a management, you can empathize with them. In that, I really liked your comment about the casual coffee meetings. I think it rarely happens. That we all, even if we have any coffee meetings, we'll end up asking what is the objective, what do you want to do next, what is your next goal. So this casual conversation of actually asking about the family, what the children do, I think is a very important message. And finally, you spoke about taking care of the growth and keeping them in the comfort zone. The physical space, yes, it's important, but the mental comfort zone is more important. And I think those are the 4 points. And I think the fifth one, the bonus was measuring. What is measured is not improved. So how do you measure their engagement level? I think as healthcare industry, only now we are starting about patient engagement. Now we have to start about staff and employee engagement. So I think that's a very important message. Thank you so much. It is very, very informative and inspiring.
Thank you, sir.
I have one question for you.
Yeah.
See, one of the things which most healthcare organizations are grappling is coming out with errors or potential errors which happen at the patient care. Now, this is a very important topic. Medical errors, because we all start with the motto, first do no harm. But we end up doing harm to the patient because we are humans. We also make errors. But every healthcare organization grapples with this problem of the employees or staff coming out and telling, yes, there's an error made, and therefore, let's discuss about it. So, how do you actually bring in, from your industry, is there any lesson which we can learn of bringing this attitude of reporting and therefore learning from errors?
See, one of the focused areas that I do work with a lot of companies is a topic called mindful leadership. It is essential and important for us in the tech industry to be more mindful of what we are doing. But even if I make a mistake on a code, on a design, it is not going to be, unless it is a life safety systems in ABS or airbag. Normally, other mobile applications I develop or web app I develop, nothing is going to happen largely in terms of consequences. But whereas we handle people, we work with lives of human beings, even a small little error could lead to larger repercussions and challenges. So that's where I believe hospitals and healthcare industry has to invest a lot in inculcating mindfulness in the employees and doctors. Of course, I learned a wonderful principle from healthcare, how surgeons focused mindfulness when they do operation. How do we inculcate that level of focus, that level of mindfulness in everything that we do from the start till end is one important point to ensure that we don't make errors in what we are doing. Second is another important point is in many organizations, people do not want to come and say, "Hey, I made a mistake, I'm sorry." Because moment somebody says that, the immediate response is blame game. You are pointed, you are blamed, you are cornered, you are targeted, you are bullied, you are penalized. And that is one important reason why people really don't want to come up and say, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake." They do all kind of things to hush it up and hide it up and put things behind under the carpet. And when things really get revealed and when it opened up, it leads to even more larger challenges. So as healthcare professionals, create a culture, create a system where it is not okay, I understand, to make mistakes, but mistakes happen anyway. So you can't avoid. But when that happens, don't try to play a back foot. Come back and say, "Hey, this has happened. Now, how do we fix this altogether? How do we solve this problem that happened now? And how do we create a system in place or checkpoints in place where this don't happen in the future?" So encouraging healthcare professionals to openly talk and discuss about the mistakes they make and accepting the mistake. First of all, accept the mistake and then say, "Okay, now how do we together sit down and solve this now, current that moment, and how do we ensure this don't happen in the future?" At that, openness is to be created rather than cornering someone, blaming someone. "You made the mistake, now my reputation." That's a big challenge for hospital. I understand. One small mistake can lead to a lot of legal issues, reputation problems, brand challenges. It's a huge challenge, I know, from the management perspective. But cornering somebody, blaming somebody will not help anyway. So have open conversations and allow them to come back and say, "Hey, I made a mistake, accept it."
Thank you so much.
Morning, sir.
This is Dr. Prabhakar, professor in Hindustan Arts and Science College, MBA department.
Good morning, sir.
It's a very wonderful session on Nidadar. How to engage the students in colleges? I think
Very difficult question. Very. You should ask these guys, "What do you want in college? Yeah? Come on, tell me." They'll say fun, actually.
normally in 1 hour session they listen around about 10 to 20 minutes.
See, I believe, my dear friends, learning happens the best only when the learners are in the best of the mood. Yes or no? Unless they are in the very positive, engaging energy in the room, their learning doesn't happen actually. So I've done a lot of being an educator myself. I work with a lot of corporate leaders. I educate professionals and leaders, right? Sir said, "I saw your LinkedIn profile. I recently made a video of one of my sessions where they play with balloons, we dance, we sing." How often you sing in the classroom, sir? How often you dance in the MBA classroom? No, college rules, we can't play music, we can't do this. See, one lesson I learned is the energy of a human being is largely physical. Yes or no? It is not here in the, you can sit and say, "I became more energetic." You have to stand up and move around, wave your hands and body, jump and laugh and sing and have all the fun. So energy is pumped up only when you are physically active, right? So how often we create that physical activity, that energy in the classroom? We come inside the MBA classroom at 8:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock. You are there in the classroom sitting for the whole day. That is too tiresome for young people who are on the smartphones all the time. They need a lot of engaging activities. They want colorful visuals to swipe and connect and back and forth communication. We don't, even if you build a website, they say build an engaging website. not a static where you scroll. There is some animations and graphics. You can click and enter something, do some research and survey. That's what we want, which means engagement is part of every domain now. So as a teacher, as a faculty member, what are you doing inside the classroom, especially in terms of physical energy? So more and more you create physical activities, energies, make people move around, the brain remains more active, right? So 40 minutes is our classroom, but recent survey says the maximum attention span of a human being is not more than 1.5 to 2 minutes. You know, all Instagram shorts and Facebook videos are just 30 seconds, right? Nobody is watching more than a 3-minute video. Yes or no? You just imagine you are scrolling your WhatsApp, you see a 3-minute video. Normally we don't click and watch it. We want quick, short tidbits. Imagine children sitting for a 45 minutes, 1 hour in the classroom, listening to a boring theory or lecture. It's very difficult for them. See from their perspective, sir. The moment you put yourself in their shoes, then things will change. So bring energy in the classroom, create a lot of activities, make them have a lot of fun in the learning process. I think learning happens and they'll engage in the whole learning process. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your profound knowledge and experience with us. Your speech was full of zeal and valuable information.
Thanks again to Rama Madam, the entire team of the organization, association, and thanks everybody. Wish you a wonderful day of learning and fun. Take care and Jai Hind.